an exclusive activity, but as something which is necessary in order to consolidate the Spiritist teaching appreciation in the mind of the scientific community, amongst others. Okay, so I think, Guilherme, I give the floor to you. Hello, welcome, and thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me here again. And it's a pleasure to be among you guys once more. And hopefully I'll bring something that will be positive for today and perhaps even for the future. And I believe you see my slides now, and
yes,
possibly you asking about who is part of this project, right? We have few institutions back in Brazil. There's the Núcleo Espírita Antero-Manhães, is the institution that I'm still connected, by the way. It's an institution that has around 90 years of existence. We also have the AMI ES, that is the Espírito Santo in Brazil, is one of the arms in Brazil, is a medical spiritist association over there. They are part of this team. We have the Grupo Espírita Casa do Caminho, the Spiritist Center connected to the GEE. The GEE is a particular group specific created to give support to the scientific part of this doctrine. The GEE is a group of study of ectoplasm. They do have specific studies about this matter, and they do have not only studies, but they do have some peculiar projects about ectoplasm. They are not just studying the matter, they are trying in labs, they are trying with science, everything that they can. As you probably know, AMIS is basically from doctors, from medical people, and GEE is a bit more open to people dedicated to science as well. They are medical people and science people over there, right? So let me start with first part, something. Okay, collaborators. Let's just start by some of the collaborators we have. Some of the names you may be familiar with through lectures over the internet or even face-to-face. And something that I forgot to say is that this presentation was exactly the very same presentation that was done to the AMI before they agreed to be part of this team, before they agreed to be part of the project. So things have changed over the year. We have more names, we have a few other things, but I decided to keep this presentation to give you a better and clear picture of how everything is started. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people think, what is that about? First of all, most of the people don't really understand what could be that project, how that is connected to the Spiritism. Is it Spiritism, by the way? Well, first of all the three aspects that we are basically focusing on this project is pretty much related to Spiritism. Many people may decide not to study this matter, but if we do deepen a little bit of knowledge into the science part of the Spiritism, you will find that easily. So let's start about the origin of the project. Repetitive intuitions. One person starts to receive several number of intuitions, one after another, about a project with the spirits, with the spirituality. That happens quite often at that time. Initially, that person ignored the intuition, but as it came over and over and over again, that particular person decided to investigate. So how to investigate if something is really meant to be, or is just something from our heads? Thanks to the spirits, as we are spiritists, we have access to the spirits. And we decide to make a consultation with the spirits. Not any spirits, but spirits that people were familiar with for many years. People were comfortable with the outcome of the work with those spirits. It's not like going to anywhere and ask any spirit, what do you think? No. Consonant answers. The answers that this person have received were basically the same. Let me talk about how that process worked. As ever, we are used to ask a lot the spirits. Every time we need, we have no problem in asking the spirits what they think, what would be the best way to do, what are the instructions. It seems that we lost that feeling over the years, but there is no reason to be afraid of doing it if we do that with a method with certain level of security, if you like. So basically what I did, I asked the very same questions in the exactly same moment to do 2 different countries, 2 different mediums, in 2 different mediumship meetings. Why do something like that? Nowadays, with the internet, cell phones and everything, it's very easy to somebody call anybody. In a few minutes, you could easily share the information or even convince people about something. So it was paramount to confirm that those intuitions were real. So once again, exactly the same moment, different mediums, same questions, different countries. One in UK, one in Brazil. After the feedback from the spirits, we start conversation with the GE and some spirits group abroad, because came to our attention that was not something to be done in one institution. There was something more complex, a broadened spectrum for this particular project. So NEA was easy because I'm part of it. I'm still part of it. GE, I had contact with them. I used to study with them. I had the confidence that would be something that would perfectly match with what they do. And they were very happy to join that challenge, if you like. Which were the questions to the spirituality? My brothers, is the intention of doing a work mainly about perispirit and epigenetics positive? Is there a plan to do it? Do the thoughts, perhaps intuition received, follow a coherent logic for the execution of the work? Will we have the support and permission of the spiritual team to execute this objective? Any recommendation? At that particular moment, I thought would be a project within the group of spirits that I was familiar with. That would be a project within our institution, perhaps another sister institution, because we were also dealing constantly with different matters, different subjects. But the answer was a bit different. My son, all dimensions taken up to the knowledge of the doctrine and its various ramifications are blessing that we had the joy of knowing when we reached the spiritual life, but that earthly population lacks in knowing them. Hence, brothers who need awareness. From here, a team prepared to instruct, to organize thoughts, and to develop the work and the spiritual research. The things of God and the greater plan, not all will be revealed to the human repercussion, as you well know. However, there are minds that are open to new regenerative transmissions. That message was signed from Joseph Kleber. Is one spirit that we are very familiar with, to work with him for years. That was in London, 2021. Just for curiosity, I have sent exactly the same piece of paper with the same questions to both places, but one decided to psychograph on the very same paper, start with the same paper, the other one not. The second psychography received in Brazil. My beloved son, all works for good and for instruction that have a good purpose are supported by spirituality. It is important, however, that the purpose to be achieved is useful to the progress of humanity as a whole. Balance, responsibility, and discipline are fundamental elements to obtain a good result. We will observe from here the mode of operation of this work, and if well conducted, it will certainly produce good fruits. Don't worry, because we are always monitoring and intuiting all those who, with love, dedicate themselves to the practice of good and to knowledge. But always remember, everything in its own time, in the way to allow the progress not to advance in a superior way to the current conditions of my brothers. Be in peace, Campos dos Goitacazes, Rio de Janeiro State. Same date. Well, my understanding is that the message has the same content. And when that happened, first of all, we start to be concerned about how to do it. It's something that seems to be bigger than I thought, something that are we capable of doing it? These are human thoughts, these are normal. But we started nevertheless, and speaking to the other institutions, to the other people that we know, we trust, we know the results of what they do, also with the spirits, we decide to engage ourselves in this. Well, to give you guys an idea of how that is organized, we have what we call CPE, is basically a council of 3 people. They are the leads of the project, if you like. We are used to work with each other. We know each other for some time now, and at least we are the ones that are steering that process. We have the supervision from the spirituality. How do we know this name? First of all, familiar with this group of spirits that we used to work before, I know that every single project, every single activity, every single new work, there is a supervision. And that was very normal to us to ask who is the spirit responsible for that project. That was the first surprise when they gave us this name. You guys, not all of you may be familiar with this name, but for Brazilians, that is a reference in the Spiritism. Let me give you an idea how the process started, right? We had the talk, we confirmed with the spirits what was the intention, what if there was something to do or not, and we start to have regular meetings with the spirits we knew, spirits we were familiar with. But how can you have meetings with the spirits? Well, we decide to establish a method from the beginning, from the very beginning. So we have what we call the council, CPE, as is written there. And we decide to invite mediums to that council. The only work, the only function of those mediums were to work as a mediums. Bear in mind that the council, the 3 lads on the council, sorry, they are also mediums. But for the sake of the project, thinking in a scientific organization of a project, we decide not to use our mediumship abilities for that purpose. We had to create a method. So we invited mediums. So in that particular meeting, and we had almost every week, we had the possibility to discuss subjects of the project with the spirits. And through this process, over a period of weeks, we started early 2021. And by the way, the intuitions started before that, way before that. We start to be acquainted to some of the spirits that would work with us in this project. How you could be acquainted with those spirits? Well, first of all, we have a trust relationship with those spirits we start with. We know them for years. We know the results of what they do. And when they brought to our meeting other spirits, none of us really had a need to ask for the ID. And as we know, the spirits never give us the ID. So through the process, we start to have psychophonies, psychographies, and we start to be familiar with a different team, with a different group. I will list here some of the names you may know or may not, but even recently, one of them told me clearly, doesn't really matter the name of the spirit. What is important is the content, what they are bringing to you. So don't focus on names, because quite often I'm human, right? I want to know who I'm dealing with. Who are the spirits I'm working with? And by the way, I'm a very curious person too. I need to know, kind of thing. And sometimes they need to put me on the right path, because my curiosity sometimes is too much. But some of the names, they came, they talked to us, they gave us instructions, they told us what they do in the project. Just to give an idea, for example, Alta de Souza is a well-known spirit in Brazil as well. She is responsible to oversee all the mediums that will receive the answers in our project. Not only in Brazil, but also abroad. We have all the names here. I will put all the names so you can see straight away. Some of the names you may be familiar with, some not, but at least back in Brazil, we are familiar with them. Those names are no longer only those names. We've been acquainted with other spirits, well known by the Spiritist movement, not only in Brazil, but also abroad. But as I said, the spirits himself, they told me, the name is not what is important. The content is what is important. But we have names now from UK, we have names from France, we have other names that I even don't know from where they are. But I was told the team on the spiritual world, they are part of this project, is massive. So I guess we only know a few names. We have some countries confirmed with us. When we started, I'm a very anxious person too. I need to do something now, not waiting for tomorrow. I like to do something straight away. And I started to contact a good number of institutions everywhere. Some did not give any credit, some could not understand, but we had some that jumped straight away. And I'll give you a curiosity of one of those institutions. I will not say which one, because I cannot, because of the method. I contact one person. I gave the idea like, well, that's what we want to do. You know, this is the project. We are putting people together. We already have this. This is our idea. And in the future, I'll call you back. When I'm ready with everything, I'll call you back. So then we can define milestones. We can work together, really. We know that I'm talking to you now, but things will start in 6 months' time, 12 months' time, even longer, depending on the phase of the project. Well, I contact one person in one country. The person was the lead of that institution, was very, very friendly, and told me, well, it seems that this is very scientific. So this is beyond my pay grade type of thing. So I will ask you to speak to this person. She worked with us. She's a medium for the institution, and she will talk to you. Through WhatsApp, I tried to organize a call with the person, talk a couple of days. I think it was more like a week, really. But finally, we agreed to time and date to have the first conversation with this particular country. She was very serious, and I like it because that means serious person is a good start. She started to ask me a lot of questions, something that normally I do. I like to do questions, but this person started to give me a lot of questions. And that makes me very curious. Through the conversation, I said to this person, you don't need to believe me. I will suggest you one thing. Ask the benefactors of your institution that you are familiar with and that you trust. Ask them what they think. She started to cry. And I didn't know what to do. What I have done? She's crying. I did something wrong. I really didn't know what to do. I was not expecting that. She started to cry. My God, what did I do? Well, don't be like that, you know, things will get better. I don't know what to say. I don't know what was the reason she was crying. When she recovered, a couple of minutes after, I don't need to ask. We had a mediumship meeting yesterday, and they told us everything you said. They told us we are part of this project. I haven't spoken in any level of detail with this institution. So that was my first assurance that what I was led to believe was happening. I never met those persons until today. I never knew that this institution was existent. And before my conversation with the medium, the spirits went ahead of me and they did the deed. So then I think I really thought, well, yeah, I cannot doubt anymore. Because it's very normal to doubt about things, right? But after that, I said, no, I cannot doubt about it anymore. It's happening. And we spoke with other institutions as well. And then I decided to stop contact other institutions because I realized that I had a long way to be prepared before I could once again contact those institutions. I've started to talk to a few of them, and I said, well, we'll stop here for the time being. And when I'm ready with a better structure, I will come back. Because I have a need of having everything very well organized with a proper method, not only for the project, but for myself. Otherwise, things could get a bit complicated for me. So now we are moving again to a new phase where I will contact them again. But those countries is just to give an idea. In Brazil, we have 2 institutions, by the way. Justification. Right? Why we choose those 3 aspects? By the way, this presentation is a bit strange the way it was done for me, but it was done by the scientific part of the team, as they are familiar with project, how to present for projects, to register in institutions. So I had to follow what they did, right? So what I just did, I was just moving from Portuguese, translating from Portuguese to English. Ectoplasm. We all, when we talk about ectoplasm, we think about Ghostbusters. We think about little smoke around people, some pictures I saw about ectoplasm, and that's it really. We had few people in our Spiritism realm that really study Spiritism. One of them is Matteo Tubino. He has 3 books about ectoplasm only. And he's part of the project, by the way. He's one of the collaborators of the project. And I found, thanks to Charles, in the recent future, another book for another gentleman that I made contact with him, a French lad. He has a massive book that I'm still reading. It was very nice, the exchange of mails I had with this gentleman as well. So there isn't many people that really bother to study ectoplasm. And what we know is just what we know. We want more, right? Now about Perispirit. Yeah, that's that book. I was thinking about get my one from the room. Yeah, Michelle. Perispirits. There's another massive book called Perispirits. Few other books talking about perispirits. But most of the time, and that is valid for the 3 items, there is someone that wants to study the subject, and then he decides to compile what he studied into a book. We have very little information coming from the spirits in a spiritual book about those subjects. This book that is, yeah, Perispirit, Charlie is really helping us. We always use those books as a reference, but there's a need for more. Why I say there's a need for more? Anyone here in this room can write a book. Can we? Of course we can. We may sell hundreds of books, but that is the result of our own research. What we know, what we study. What we are trying to is to get that information from the spirits. I truly believe they know more than we do. And that's one of the driving forces behind that. Epigenetics, there is something very recent in the Spiritism. Not many people don't even know what it is. I'm not here to speak about the specifics about what it is, but at the moment we have a lot of doctors, scientists studying epigenetics. This particular group, GE and AMES in one state in Brazil, they are studying that as well. And we know very little about epigenetics on the spiritual world. We know little about epigenetics in our world. But as we believe, because we've been taught to, that here is a copy of what we know on the spiritual world, there is a massive possibility to learn different things with the spirits about the subject. If we refer to epigenetics, there is, in my opinion, André Luiz, he mentions a few points, mainly evolution to worlds, but there is more. There's a massive potential to learn that with the spirits. As every project, we need to have clear objectives. And I will highlight to you here the main objectives. Expand the current knowledge existing in the Spiritist doctrine in relation to the pre-selected items, ectoplasm, perispirit, and epigenetics. So we acknowledge there is already information, but what we want is to increase that level of information. Ratify with the spirituality theories elaborated by men in relation to the pre-selected subjects. We can come up with any theory we want. Is that correct or not? If you know a better way to confirm if the theory is right or not, please tell me, because I truly believe, as a spiritist, asking the spirits is, if not the best way, one of the best ways. Correlate the discoveries of science with the foundation of Spiritist doctrine. And as Elsa said on the beginning of our encounter here today, there are people that are putting a massive effort to make that relation. In the past, we had as well. Now we do as well. If we can help, why not? Reproduce Kardec's method using current tools and criteria for the execution of the project. Kardec, he did a massive work that we all are here because of him. Imagine if Kardec had the tools we have today. He would do something I cannot even think about it. Would be something I cannot even pretend to think about it. Because Kardec was and is unique. So what we thinking is, we want to reproduce what he did. Universality of teachings of the spirits. And using methods and tools that are available to us today. To publish and propagate the acquired knowledge to the spiritist and scientific community. AMIS and GE has a massive role to play. Because it's not easy to share what we learn in the spiritism with the scientists. But as we have some of them with us, we have a good start already. So basically, those are the main objectives of this project. Expected outcomes. Ratify or not current theories. The two possibilities may happen. Amplify explanations received previously through spirituality on the subject selected. That's very normal. If the information I received from the spirit was 60 years ago or more, knowing that they are way more developed than we are, perhaps we'll be able to receive more information from them. Breaking paradigms. We have a lot of that with us. Me personally, I'm not expecting to receive the answers we know. I am expecting to receive answers that we do not know, answers that will be conflicting with what I believe is the right answer. I'm not trying to have the answer to please myself or my ego. I'm trying to have answers. Doesn't matter if they come to break my paradigms. To encourage new generations to carry out new research. This one speaks loudly to me. I would like to see my son having a better opportunity that I had on the Spiritism. I would like to see the young kids, the teenagers, they are today, join this movement to feel the need, or at least to feel they can do research, learn more, understand more. Why I'm saying that? Quite often, when we try to do something, especially if it's different, the world will come to turn you down. And don't be mistaken. It happens more than we think inside a Spiritist center. To receive answers that until now have not been considered by Spiritists and academic world. It has to be, I'm expecting something new, right? Everything new may be a challenge. Broaden the possibilities of new research for Spiritist and academic world. Since Kardec did his job, very little people tried to use his method to ask the spirits, to work with the spirits. It's like after Kardec, we cannot ask the spirits anymore. After Kardec, we cannot copy what he did anymore. That was it. It's cast in stone, and we cannot do anything like it. But let's think about if this project works. That will give a massive opportunity for the newer generations to feel comfortable, to ask the spirits, to study with them, to develop themselves with them, to obtain material for possible scientific analysis after the project. As I mentioned here in the beginning, the GEE is a scientific part of the project. They have labs, they have processes, they have people way clever, way more clever than I am. And as it is today, they do research, they do tests, they do trial. And if you do have an opportunity, the idea is to use GEE to do research, to do trials. I won't say what they are doing right now, but it's very interesting what they do. You will see that I put in capital letters, method. The job that we are trying to do, the job that we will do, need a very strong and serious method. That is the key. Our method is based on observational study. What is observational study? We analyze the quality of the data collected during that period. It is a prospective study. That means the project will start from scratch. We are not analyzing previous data. We will work with what is about to come. Multi-center. We have different institutions, different countries, all of them a little bit spread. Double blind. What is that double blind thing? On the beginning, that was a bit funny for me because I could not understand. But that is a term used by the scientists for their projects, for their research. Basically, one part cannot have contact with the other part. One institution should not have contact with the other institution. The medium should not have contact with consultant. And basically, every step of the project is compartmentalized in a way that you will not be able to interfere with the rest of the project. We have created methods to ensure that. I've put it here as a simplified flowchart, but in reality, it's a very simplified flowchart. How does it work? In yellow, we have what we call suggestors. Everyone and anyone can make a suggestion, and that suggestion may become one question to this process. The CPE of the PEPE will evaluate the suggestions. We have our own questions, of course, and we are the ones that are submitting the questions to the medium cells. So the group that we call medium cells will receive the questions to answer in that particular meeting. Once it is done, they will send to the consultant team that will evaluate the level of the answer. We from the CPE, we will not interfere with the medium cells. We will not interfere with the consultants. By the way, the consultants are scientific doctors, spiritists for years. They are there. That's the job they're supposed to do in the project. And once the consultants did the part of it, the answer will return to us, the CPE. If for any reason the answer is not 100%, we will start another cycle of questions again. The answer, we have 3 levels of answers: accepted, incomplete, rejected. Incomplete, we will ask again the spirits. We may modify the question to make a clearer question, for example, and we'll try to see what's coming. But this is basically how things should work, the cycle. Let me show you a little bit more. It's a bit more complicated, and this is still a simple one for the project. Basically, well, let me make things easier here. We have, it's the same from the previous slide, right? We have questions, we have the creator, everyone that has access to the database will have his own ID. Every individual from, could be the consultant or could be the institution we call medium cell, will have one access. We will register everything, right? We will share that among the cells. And the process is, as I mentioned here, approval. I mentioned before that we have 3 possibilities, and after the evaluation of the process, we're going to do that. But that part here is just for the questions. The same process, there is not a single person making a decision on the process. We always have to validate it by 3. Different knowledge, different background, different perspective. So only after those 3 characters evaluate everything and agreed, we have a package of questions that can be sent to the cells. Oops, one thing. Every step of the way, everything we do, we will have a code. It's like a barcode. So we are able to trace everything from the moment the question was created to the evaluation, to the answer. Everything has a trace. And the answers is pretty much following the same principle, right? Everyone will have its own login. Everyone, the consultants, they will have the knowledge required to evaluate each specific subject, and they will make the decision, valid, incomplete, discharged, and they will submit new questions. They will generate, as I hear, I put that twice, in fact, in reality, because they will have codes. We will be able to check everything. And the idea is, if you do have an audit any moment in time, we'll be able to show to everyone every step of what has been done. I won't bother you too much with what is here, because I think it's more organization. But we have few other diagrams that are way more complicated, to be honest. Software. Everything we do will be through a software. I'm having constant meetings with the software team, and I had one today. I was trying to show the software, but we could not upload in time into the server to show you guys here. I did something just to give you an idea, but my intention was to show you how the software works, but it didn't work. I couldn't finalize that in time. Software, it will be accessible through the cloud. So anyone that works in this project will be able to access the information from anywhere. I think we are very familiar with that nowadays with the internet. We that are addicted to Facebook and few other things like Instagrams, we are fully dependent on the cloud. So the project is also depending on the cloud. it can be accessed by Windows, Mac, iOS, and other platforms. So there is no reason why someone, I'm having problems to access by my PDA, I'm having problems to access by my Mac. No, it has been tested already, and any type of system will be able to access. Initially, we thought about using something that already existed in the market, but we felt like it would be so much more complicated than start a new software. So we put together a team of professional people, and many thanks to them, by the way, and they start from the scratch, preparing a software as we asked them to do. So I'm very happy with the results so far. And it's a shame I could not show you guys here today. But everything is there. Everything is on the software. And AWS is Amazon. It's a massive Amazon server. And they do provide many services like that. So we're going to use the latest technology to help us here. Each person who is required to upload or download information to the database will have personal access. Everything that will happen in the project will be able to trace it. You have your own code. No one can access what you can, not even me. So the secrecy of the software is very important. The double blind is very important. Right? All information will be tracked and identifiable should be audited in the future. I think I spoke about that already. Another thing, all statistical monitoring will be done through AI, artificial intelligence. One of the persons that are part of our team is his domain to understand and to do things with AI. I don't even fully understand what AI can do, just the robots from the movies, but he does. And he's using that to evaluate everything in the process. It will have a multilingual option to also serve the project partners abroad. We were checking that today. Basically, it's like any homepage, more advanced. The mother language will be Portuguese because we started and it's my mother language. It'll be easier for me, really. But we will be able to select between languages. So for any reason, Charles wants to, I know he can speak, read, and write better than me in Portuguese, but, and that's true, by the way, but if he wants to feel more comfortable in his own language, he just needs to click and everything. The standard commands of the software will change to French, and we have Spanish, we have English, and there's another language, I think it's German, but I'm not sure. But that is something to make easier for the people that will use the software. Well, I'm showing you here, guys, the page to get into the software, right? So basically, pretty much what was in our presentation at the beginning, but we have the login here. As you create your first account on Yahoo or Amazon, anywhere, you will have a temporary code. You have to come, you have to change your password. Once you change your password, no one in the project will be able to access your password. And that's the way people get in. So the problem I had today was we were not able to transfer from the test server to the real deal server on Amazon, right? So we couldn't finish in time. But that's the picture we're gonna have. And the features on the software is that if you are CPE, you have access to different levels. If you are mediumship cell, you have access related to what you need to have access. If you are a consultant, you have access to the level you need to have. So even if I want to keep an eye on what is done next door, if I'm a medium, for example, I want to see what the consultant is seeing, I won't be able to. If the consultant wants to know which is the medium who received that message, he won't be able to. So we are very compartmentalized to protect the integrity of the project. Ethical aspects. I think I'm forgetting something, but that will come. Well, we have few things we consider as ethical aspects, and this is very important because the project will be prepared to be registered into the normal ways of scientific people projects are, right? So we have risk, we measure the risks, we measure the benefits. Security of the data is very important. Imagine if after a massive amount of work, we have a breach of the data and then everyone have access to the work. And the most complicated is access to the incomplete work. They may have access to the wrong part of the project. So that's a concern. Confidentiality and secrecy. Everyone participating in our project needs to agree a voluntary term where we don't do anything really for us. We do everything for the project. And that's a very common thing in projects, by the way. And that's a very clear thing. I haven't added that here, but otherwise the presentation will be too long. Planning. Software completion, end of June 2022. We achieved that already. The software is ready. We are just fine-tuning few things, changing colors, changing letters. Is really just cosmetics right now, but the software is ready. Internal test phase of the software, end of August 2022. We had the first conversation today. I believe that Wednesday, I will have access through the real deal server where I will be, myself and the other colleagues will be able to start to try to prove that the software does not work. Basically, will be the fireproof. We want to test every single possibility. We want to guarantee that the software, yes, is ready. So we will have a period that we will have to do it. And because I'm kind of familiar with projects beyond Spiritism, we will drive that to the extension that we want to really prove that the software do not work. Because if I cannot prove do not work, means the software is 100%. And the way I'm talking here seems to be a bit aggressive, but that's the way I was talking with the developers as well. And they are pretty happy because they want to have someone to find something that needs to be adjusted, improved, right? Integration of the test cells, end September 2022. I'm very happy to say that we already started with the cells. The test, integration test with the cells. We started already. We are having a very interesting results already, right? So, but what is the deal? We will test every single mediumship cells. We will only start the project when all the cells are fine-tuned. So there are different layers of the tests. We started already, and that was very successful so far, right? But why we have to do tests on everything? We don't want to fail. We want to ensure that everything we are doing has, every commitment we are having right now has a purpose. And we want to deliver what we decide to be part of. So none of us have any problem if we did something wrong, something did not work, but we want to find those things. And if we do find things like that, we will improve. But we have to do that before we start the project. So that's why we are testing everything. Open test of the software and method, end of October 22. This is a different phase where we will be simulating a real scenario with the cells. We chose 2 cells to do this bench test. They are the guinea pigs, by the way. By the end of October this year, they will have tested everything. We will use a different subject. We use a couple of things different. I cannot share everything with you guys, I'm sorry, but we will simulate every single step of the process. After that, we'll have to evaluate what we did, right? So hopefully before the end of this year, we'll have if not the validation for everything we did, at least we'll be pretty close to start the project per se. The phase questions and answers, we are expecting to end by the end, is mid-2025, but I'm thinking personally that will be more by the end of 2025, right? It is a lengthy process. And if you are not familiar with the project, any project has a beginning, a middle, and the end. And most of the projects would take a couple of years. Analysis of the received set, analysis of what this spirituality brought to us. We are expecting to finish by the end of 2026. And then you may ask, how is that possible? You take years to collect all the answers, and then you expect only 1 year to analyze. No, things will happen in parallel, right? And we will get a package of questions, we'll send to collect the answers. When they come back, there is a team working already. We don't need to wait until we receive the last question to start to work, right? We have an organization. It is really a project to make it happen. Human resources. CPE, the three lads that the name were there, myself, Alessio, and Raimundo. I don't like to talk about myself, and then that, I think that's sufficient. And medians coordination. We have the medians that work closer to us, and they are our main link to talk with the spirits. To give you an idea, everyone participating in this project so far have been validated by the spirituality. Everyone. Medium, analysts or consultants, institutions, indoctrinators that will be with the medium in the mediumship cell. The spirits, they are validating everyone. So this work is not ours. This work is from the spirits. We work with the spirits. Analysts, the analyst or the consultant, he will be analyzing every answer. But if I am a specialist in ectoplasm, of course, you give your heart to what you are a specialist. If I'm a specialist in perispirit, I will be more dedicated for spiritist, for perispirit, and so on. We have people in this team that are top-notch in all the three subjects, even epigenetics, right? So we are trying best as we can to ensure the quality of the process. Volunteers, everyone that send a little suggestion, everyone that's give us a little contribution, everyone that's give us a little push is a volunteer. There's different levels of people working, so many different layers and things. We don't have only mediums, we don't have only analysts or consultants. We have a bunch of people working to make this happen, right? And there is no difference between A, B, and C. We are all volunteers. Spirit cells, we have 4 members per spiritist, per medium's cell, right? I won't go into details, but we have 4 members per cell. And what we call cell is a spiritist institution. Financial resource. Well, we mentioned that here because we had to mention on the other presentation. But basically, the council will support the project financially. Suggested questions. In order to allow anyone to, well, I'm not going to read, right? Basically, anyone can be part of the project. Anyone can make a suggestion for a question for a specific subject. We have a QR code, we have the link. This is basically a Google form that is compiling all the suggestions, and then we will integrate or not, depending on the question, of course, into our project. Questions. But before let me stop share. Before we go into the questions, what do we want? What do we want? It's not for us, as I said here. This is a job made from the spirits. This is a job made for the future. It's not for us. As I spoke about financial aspects, if on the end of the project we have any financial results, none of us will keep anything. We sign a document to be very clear about